I am Pharaoh, and this is my story. The scream that echoed through my palace was unlike any sound I had ever heard. I had listened to soldiers cry out as they bled on distant battlefields. I had heard prisoners beg for mercy before my throne. I had watched mothers mourn their dead after the Nile overflowed its banks, but nothing prepared me for the cry that shattered the silence of that terrible night. It came from within my own house. Servants raced through torchlit corridors, their sandals striking polished stone. Oil lamps flickered as men stumbled over one another in panic. Somewhere ahead, women were weeping. Someone shouted my name, but the words dissolved beneath the sound that every household in Egypt was making at that same moment. A nation crying as one. My heart pounded against my chest. I already knew. Before anyone dared to speak the words, I knew. The God whom I had mocked had kept his final promise. My son, my firstborn, the child who would one day wear my crown, was dead. As I stood frozen beneath towering columns painted with victories of kings before me, memories rushed upon me like floodwaters. They did not come gently. They came with the force of judgment, carrying me backward through every decision that had brought me to this night. I had once believed no power existed greater than mine. I was Pharaoh. Egypt called me the son of the gods. My word determined life or death. Cities rose because I commanded it. Armies marched because I lifted my hand. Thousands bowed their faces to the ground when I passed. Foreign rulers sent gifts seeking my favor. Every sunrise over the Nile reminded me that Egypt prospered under my rule. Yet there was one people among us who never truly belonged. The Hebrews. Long before my reign, they had come into Egypt during a great famine. Their ancestor, Joseph, had saved this nation through wisdom given by his God. My forefathers had honored him, but generations passed. Joseph died. Those who remembered him died. Only his people remained. They multiplied until they seemed to fill the land like grain spreading across a threshing floor. They worked our fields. They tended our animals. They built our storage cities. Everywhere I looked, their numbers increased. My advisors often spoke in anxious voices. "If war comes, my lord," one warned, "they may join our enemies." I looked upon the Hebrews not as neighbors, but as a danger waiting to awaken. Fear can wear the mask of wisdom. So, I acted. We placed them under taskmasters. We burdened them with endless labor. From sunrise until darkness, they mixed clay with straw, shaped bricks beneath the blazing sun, hauled stone, and built monuments that proclaimed Egypt's greatness. I expected hardship to weaken them. Instead, they grew stronger. The more they suffered, the more they multiplied. It made no sense. I tightened my grip. Still they increased. Then came reports that Hebrew boys continued to be born in great numbers. Orders were given that every newborn son was to die. I told myself it was necessary. Kings often call harshness wisdom when it protects their throne. Years passed. My kingdom flourished. Then, one ordinary morning, everything changed. Two old Hebrews entered my court without trembling. One carried a shepherd's staff polished smooth by years in the wilderness. His brother stood beside him. Their clothing was simple. Their hands bore none of the ornaments worn by Egyptian nobles. Yet they walked toward my throne as though they feared nothing. The older man looked directly into my eyes. His gaze unsettled me. He spoke calmly. "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness." The court became silent. Lord? What God was this? Egypt had many gods: the Nile, the sun, the sky, the earth, the sacred bull, the falcon, the crocodile. Every force of nature belonged to one of our deities. Who was this invisible God who dared command Pharaoh? I answered with contempt. Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go. The words felt powerful when I spoke them. They would haunt me later. Instead of releasing the Hebrews, I increased their burdens. No longer would straw be provided for making bricks. They would gather it themselves while producing the same number each day. Their cries rose throughout Egypt. It hardened me further. Then the shepherd threw down his staff. Before every official in my court, it became a serpent. Gasps filled the hall. My own magicians stepped forward. Using their secret arts, they also cast down staffs that became serpents. Relief spread through me. Then something happened I could not explain. The serpent belonging to the Hebrew swallowed theirs. Silence returned. The staff lay once more upon the floor. Still, I refused to bend. The next morning, Moses met me beside the Nile. The river was Egypt's life. Children played along its banks. Farmers depended upon its waters. Priests honored it with offerings. As the first rays of sunlight shimmered across its surface, Moses lifted his staff. The water darkened, then thickened, then became blood. The smell struck first, metallic, rotting. Fish floated lifeless upon crimson waters. People staggered backward in horror. The Nile itself had died. Yet my magicians produced something similar. That was enough for me. I walked away. The river remained blood for 7 days. Then frogs came. Not hundreds, not thousands, millions. They covered streets, ovens, kneading bowls, bedrooms, temples, kitchens, and the steps leading to my throne. Everywhere my foot landed, frogs leaped beneath my sandals. Sleep became impossible. Their endless croaking filled every waking moment. This time, I called Moses. "Pray to your God," I demanded. "Remove the frogs, and I will let the people go." He asked when. I answered confidently, "Tomorrow." Why tomorrow? Even now, I cannot explain it. Perhaps pride hoped another solution would appear before morning. Moses prayed. The frogs died. Their bodies were piled into heaps. The smell spread across the land. But once relief came, my promise disappeared. I hardened my heart again. Then dust became gnats. Tiny insects covered people and animals alike. They crawled into nostrils, ears, eyes, and mouths. My magicians tried to copy the miracle. They failed. For the first time, fear appeared upon their faces. "This is the finger of God," they whispered. I heard them. I ignored them. Flies followed. Swarms blackened the sky. They invaded every Egyptian house. Yet in Goshen, where the Hebrews lived, there were none. A distinction had been made. Still, I bargained. Worship your God here. Moses refused. Then not far away. Again he prayed. Again the plague ended. Again I broke my word. Disease swept through our livestock. Horses, camels, cattle, sheep, goats. They collapsed across the fields. Yet the Hebrews lost none. My servants confirmed it. Still, I would not surrender. Then came boils. Ashes thrown toward heaven became fine dust that settled upon every Egyptian. Painful sores erupted across skin. Even my magicians could no longer stand before Moses because they themselves were covered with boils. The palace became strangely quiet. The confidence of Egypt was fading. Mine should have faded with it. Instead, my pride only dug deeper. I had begun this battle believing I was defending a throne. Now I see I was defending my own stubborn heart. And the cost was only beginning. And if you were blessed by this story, like, share, and let us know where you are listening from.